So welcome everybody. My name is Julie Bean. I work for Maine Development Foundation, and we host the Realize Maine Network, which is the group putting on this event right now. And I just wanted to cover a couple of housekeeping items. If you could stay muted when you're not talking, that'd be great. And if you could keep your camera on as much as possible. I understand there's stuff going on sometimes in the background, but it'd be nice to see everybody. If you have questions, we will have a Q&A time at the end. So in the meantime, if you want to put stuff in the chat, feel free. We'll keep an eye on that. And finally, I just wanted to ask you, because this is the first speaker event of 2021, and we hope to have a couple more, if you could just be thinking about other topics that you'd love to hear about, that would be great. And I'll prompt you again at the end, but don't feel like you have to wait. Like if you can think of something now, stick it in the chat and I'll make a note of it. And now I'm going to hand it over to Molly Woodard, who's the chair of the Realize Maine Network Steering Committee.
Everyone, thank you so much for coming. And like Julie said, the Realize Maine Network is comprised of 6 and more, and always looking for more young professional groups across the state of Maine under that umbrella of Realize Maine. We're very proud of all of our sub-organizations and the work that they do around the state to engage and involve young professionals to not just work here, but be involved in their communities and really thrive in Maine in the way that they do at work, but bring that with them out into the community. So we're very proud of them, and I'm sure that most of you are all part of one of those organizations or another. So thank you to all of our organizations for being here and sharing this event today. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you to Bangor Savings Bank. We have Spencer, who sits on the Realize Maine Steering Committee as the representative for Bangor Savings Bank, but I see a lot of BSBers out there. So a lot of them I recognize. Hi, Rebecca. I thought I saw Bryn as well, all coming to support Corey. And this is going to be a great presentation. Corey's fantastic on this topic. And speaking of Corey, let me introduce you to her. I'm sure you've all heard the legend, but let me tell you more about her. So Corey is born and raised right here in Maine. She spent her days growing up on her family's farm in Leamington, just on the outskirts of southern Maine. In 1995, Corey graduated from Bonnie Eagle, so don't hold that against her. We're not going to throw things. That's why we made it virtual. And then she went on to the University of Farmington, where she spent time focusing on sports and studies. Because she put that in there, I'm sure there's a lot of sports. Yeah. Corey was on the women's basketball and rugby team, so again, don't meet her in a dark alley. After college, she spent time traveling across the states and driving up to Alaska to various countries such as Norway and Peru. When Corey decided to take a break from traveling, she started to coach high school and college sports, field hockey, basketball, and softball. Very busy. Currently a branch manager for Bangor Savings Bank in Rockland. She has continued to grow her career in banking in the past 13 years. Corey is married to her husband, Paul, and they have 2 remarkable children. She enjoys, who I'm sure that she puts through sports and other activities. She enjoys spending time with her family, traveling, hiking, biking, playing sports, reading, and cooking. Corey is also an active volunteer and participates on the board for the Maine Women's Network and is a coach for a program, Girls on the Run. Throughout this time, Corey has developed a passion for coaching and managing her diverse team. Every day, Corey loves using her skills, experience, and enthusiasm to help people reach their full potential. And I can attest to all of those things. She is inspiring and enthusiastic. And without further ado, I'm going to give it away to Corey.
Thank you, Molly. You're like the sweetest person ever. If you guys don't know, Molly and I used to work together. So I had a great time working with Molly, and I always thought she was a wonderful manager as well. And all right, I'm going to share my screen here, and I think we did this okay. Let me see. Sorry, it takes me a minute. Can everybody see that? So the art of self-promotion, I was asked to speak on this topic. I actually have talked about this before in front of people at Bangor Savings Bank when I used to work with senior customer service representatives and branch managers and assistant branch managers. So self-promote like a boss. So a little bit about me. Molly actually told you quite a bit about me, but I have been married for 13 years to Paul. We do have two amazing kids, 8 and 10. I love spending time with my family. Obviously, I love sports. I think Molly brought that up, and I am a little obsessed with reading. The sports thing is kind of huge in our family. Mostly, I have a child with autism. My son is 10, and we have found that keeping him with sports and involved kind of helps him, the routine, socializing. So that's been a big part for us as well. I have been at Bangor Savings Bank for 9 years. I have been lucky enough to be in 3 different branches while here, which has given me an amazing experiences. They're all so different at every branch. And before that, I worked at Bank of America in Belfast for 6 years. And as Molly said, I have been a coach, an educator, and a nanny in my 20s, which allowed me to do some traveling and coaching, which I very much enjoy. And feel free to stop me if you guys have any questions. I'll do my best to help answer them. You'll have to speak up because when I'm sharing my screen, I can't really see comments on the in the chat. So this is my top 10 list of how to self-promote. Number 1, be yourself. I can't stress that enough. You don't have to try to pretend to be something you're not. Use your own. We're all quirky. We're all different. There's no normal. So just be yourself. Let your amazing, beautiful self shine through. Use your own personality. Whatever makes you, use that. And be creative. I personally am probably the least creative person in the entire universe. But I try to use the fun things that I do in my life and use that in my sharing on social media. But I know there's so many people out there that are creative that can sew and knit and do just all these amazing things. So, you know, be creative and still live your life. There's no, you don't have to change anything in your life. Just still live your life. Just be yourself, be creative. And less is more. I don't think you need to do you don't have to do a ton of self-promoting or self-sharing. You can just, you know, it can be a picture and a few words, and that can attract a lot of attention. It doesn't have to be a paragraph, because, you know, people aren't going to read it. We have the minds of goldfish lately, where we run into a wall and forget what we just did and do it again. So less is more. And then interact. Use Facebook Live, use YouTube, even on Instagram, you can now do that. So interact with your network, with your community, with everyone that you're able to. Molly mentioned this before. She said, made a comment, Skip, get that camera out of my face. Molly and I ran the Ragged Mountain Scuttle. And while we were running that race for Bangor Savings Bank at the time, Skip Bates was there with the camera, Facebook Living us as we're running, and it was very hot. Our faces were very red, and we were climbing a mountain and doing a lot of different activities, such as monkey bars and carrying sandbags. So it was pretty interesting, but I'm sure people were tuning in because they thought that was hilarious, or what are these crazy people doing? So interact with everybody, and use your network of people. The network that you're growing and making, they're the ones that are going to help you in so many different ways, whether that is getting on a board, getting on a board, or getting a new job, maybe a hobby. You wanted to join a running club and you didn't know how to do that. Use your network. So I just do think that's an important piece also. And be a part of your community. I think if you're in this group, you're obviously a part of your community and you're doing your part and wanting to help, and share that with people so that they know what you're doing. And this one probably is a little obvious, but state your profession. Obviously you are here to grow and do different things, but if you tell them what you're already doing, that may take you down a different path as well. And most importantly, have fun. You're going to definitely want to have fun when you're doing this. It shouldn't be a chore. This is just something takes a few minutes out of your day. You can do it a couple times a week and hopefully help grow your network community and get something out of it for yourself as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was LinkedIn. This is Chris Lobley. He still works at Bangor Savings right now. And I do think he has one of the best LinkedIn pages that I've seen. And he knows that. I got permission to use this. He is great with LinkedIn. And if you ever wanted advice or need help with LinkedIn, I mean, he's your guy. And he's more than happy to help. He does a really great job. I like he uses the pictures, of the bank, but as we go on, I'll show you more. So another thing that he's really great at with LinkedIn, his about, at what he's doing. He's at Bangor Savings, and it's short and sweet and to the point. It's only a few sentences long, but you get the gist of what he's doing. Chris isn't on here particularly looking for a job, but he does a good job of stating his experience of where he's been. And also when he's here, his recommendations, this is something that I'm not as good at with Chris. You can ask people to write you up recommendations, and also you can write recommendations for other people. And I do think that's really important. It's personal. It's other people giving a feeling or an idea of who you are as well. And I think that's just something important that not enough people take advantage of. That is on the left side of LinkedIn. If you're looking and scrolling down under your experiences, under your work experiences, that's where the recommendations will be, and where you could ask somebody, maybe ask your boss or a peer or somebody that you used to work with to write a recommendation for you. And also, feel free to reach out to me. We can accept each other on LinkedIn and go from there as well. And I'd be more than happy to help grow your network that way. Another thing I think people forget about with LinkedIn, it is a great place if you are looking to hire somebody, a great place to go. In the search bar of LinkedIn up at the top, you can actually search. So say I'm looking for a teller, you can look teller in job. It'll say, you can type in teller, it'll pop up teller in jobs. If you're doing that, it's probably going to be people that are listing teller positions. But if you look up teller in people, so that will then tell you people that already might be tellers or have been a teller. And that will give you an idea of if these people may be looking for a job as well. You can even search in your area as well. So hopefully that's helpful for everybody. But I feel like LinkedIn is such a great tool to use when looking for positions to fill. And not only that, but I feel as though you may not even have a position to fill, but it's still a great way to network and find people that might be in your area that are in similar positions. It's also good to reach out because you never know what's going to happen. Maybe somebody within your team is going to get promoted, or maybe they are going to be moving to a different branch, or maybe, and I'm just using banking as an example, but people are constantly moving up and wanting more. So when you're already searching and already having some prospects out there, it just makes your job so much easier as well. So I think LinkedIn is such an amazing tool for that. And then moving on to Instagram, which LinkedIn, I do like. I don't feel like I check in as much on it as I should. Instagram, I definitely is so user-friendly. And I think you can use it for your job and self-promoting so easily. So this is Michelle Curtis. She's actually the chair for the Maine Women's Network for the Midcoast branch that I work with. She works for the First, and she uses her title, Maine Banker on the Move. And I thought she's done such a great job with this, promoting herself. She's a passionate banker. She's a mom. She's a community ambassador. And I think that comes across in her pictures as well. I put a couple of pictures down here just showing things that she's discussed, but also, she didn't write too much, but just she put her email and a couple of hashtags. You don't, like we talked about before, less is more. You don't necessarily need a paragraph of hashtags on there. And I think having a cute little name can sometimes be eye grabbing as well. So Maine Banker on the Move. My Instagram page is Molly probably already knows this, and I'm sure Rebecca and Bryn definitely does, but mine is Meal Prep and Mama, because I love to cook on the weekends and usually meal prep. I'm a little bit type A for the whole week. So I usually take some pictures of all the food that I have made and prepared for the week going forward. And then moving on to Facebook, I think Facebook is also very user friendly and easy to, just easy to, I was going to say use, but obviously that's what I'm just talking about. But it, with pictures and being able to connect with people on a broader scope, I think when they talk about ages, I think there's so many people that use Facebook. I mean, your great grandmother can use Facebook along with the younger generation. I know that Instagram might be more popular with them, which is why I do cover that as well and use that. But this also can cover a broader age group. In this one, you can see that we had Heart Awareness Day at the bank. We were raising money for charity. We all wore red. We also had some customers drop off some food and beverages, which is really nice. And so I just wrote up a little bit about that as well. And, my work family in here. The other one is more fun. So one is targeted maybe towards not just work, but charity as well. And then this one is fun. So you saw in my earlier picture of my family, we were wearing Star Wars. I'm a little bit of a Star Wars dork. So on May the 4th, we all wore Star Wars. We had Star Wars masks. Actually, three of them are wearing my shirts, but we did a Star Wars day at work and had just had some fun with that and posted about that as well. This is definitely more work oriented. We have a program at Bangor Savings called Buoy Local. Buoy Local is about connecting businesses and shoppers together in about promoting local business and shopping local. We put a sign on a sandwich board outside, and I just took a picture of one of our tellers holding the sign and promoted that. So this is definitely more work focused. And then I opened an account for a customer. She took pictures of her daughter and I together as I opened her account. And she also shared that, which was really sweet too. So just able to use these for work. Like I said, this one was more fun and one was about charity, but also, definitely using it for work as well. So this is some fun ones. So we talked about promoting yourself. If you don't promote yourself, nobody will. You will have some people, of course, brag about you, share some of your accomplishments, but really we're talking about self-promotion today. And, it doesn't have to be bragging. Focus on your accomplishments. What are you proud of? So this is Leah Nickerson. She works at Bangor Savings. She just completed a class at Cornell, or a certification, at Cornell University. And she's proud of that, and she should be. And so posted that. And that's what you should be taking away here. What are you proud of? It doesn't have to be everything that's going to impress other people, but something that you are happy with that you've done. This other one is Penobscot Island Air. Laura's an assistant branch manager here at Bangor Savings Bank. She was able to fly over to one of the islands right off of Rockland, where we work, and to help pick up some paperwork for a customer. It's sometimes difficult for our customers to get in and off the islands because of the ferry schedule. And so she was able to do that. It was a really amazing experience. She also is taking classes in flying. And so she was actually able to fly the plane with one of her instructors over, grab the paperwork, and come back. So that was a really neat opportunity that presented itself. And we were able to promote that as well, which I think, these are things you can be proud of. She's becoming a pilot. She was delivering paperwork. Leah finished this amazing opportunity with Cornell University, things you're proud of. And then other things that you can be proud of. So this is Realize Maine, and you want to share some of the things you're doing in your community, but maybe some nonprofits, you're out networking and meeting people. Bangor Savings Bank was lucky. We did a sponsorship for the Strand. It's an amazingly cute little old movie theater in downtown Rockland. It's a nonprofit. It's obviously with the pandemic, people haven't been able to go in. And it doesn't just play movies, they do plays, they have live music and other things as well. Well, during the pandemic, they came up with a great idea and they partnered with the Owl's Head Transportation Museum and did a drive-in. So that was just something we were really proud of and happy to be a part of as well. And, you know, we made sure to share that as well. And that helped them to get more people aware that they had a drive-in and for people to go. And it was something I could feel good about as well. The other picture you see, we were part of a chamber golf event. Bryn's actually in there. It's hard to tell with masks, but an event that we sponsored and volunteered at, and also people played in the event as well. And you can support, you can promote that you're having a great time. You're not only having a great time, but you're also doing something for the community, and we were outside and having a good time. And then peer recognition, I think, is important. This is Laura. She's an assistant branch manager. I just talked about her and flying airplanes. We also did a delivery of some coffees to the Rockland EMTs and first responders during the pandemic, since, you know, they were right in the thick of things and having to deal with such sick people. We wanted to do something for them. So as she was making the delivery, I took a picture and also posted that as well. So if you have a moment and you're feeling proud of what your friends, your peers, your coworkers are doing, don't be shy. You want to do that for them, promote them. They're doing a good thing and you should do that. Now, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Does anyone know why I've grouped them all together? I haven't really spoken a lot about Twitter, but anyone?
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. Does anyone know why I grouped Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook together?
Because they're all social media.
That's a great answer. And yes, that is part of it. I haven't really spoken much about Twitter, but is there any other things people are?
You can post to them all at the same time?
Yes. So I don't know
Not
how
sure.
many people are aware of that, but from your Instagram page, when you're making a post, you can go from your Instagram, you can turn on your, I'm pointing to my hand, but it's really the phone. You can go to turn on underneath Instagram, you'll see Twitter and Facebook, and I believe there's Tumblr if you use that as well. And you can turn them all on at once. And when you share your Instagram page, it will also share the same thing to Twitter and to Facebook. So I think that's a big, it makes it so much easier for you to share on so many different platforms in one easy step. All right, and then I did leave room for questions. I know I spoke really fast, so I can go back and talk about more things, but if you have questions, please let me know. I wasn't able to see the chat if there were anything in the chat as well.
I do have a question. I don't know if there's any other questions in the chat that have to be answered first, but I was wondering if you could share some experience in regards to some of the newer social media platforms. I hate to say this, but I think that TikTok is kind of something that we have to be aware of coming down the pipeline for young professionals. So I'd like to know your experience or thoughts on that.
No, I definitely agree with you on that. TikTok has definitely kind of blown up in the last year or so. And I have noticed that a lot of, and I don't want to age people, but like the younger generation seems to really be trending that way. They want to go on TikTok. I've seen fitness personal trainers using it a lot in the area, which I thought was interesting, making TikTok videos, but I personally haven't used it yet. I don't make a lot of videos personally anyway, but I do see that that is going to be something that we're going to have to probably address in the future. And, you know, of course we don't do, I doubt any of you really do any of your social media at work anyway, because it's most likely you can't access it on your work's computer for many reasons. The one we are allowed to use at our job is LinkedIn, which is great because you can make some connections through that and use it for work purposes. TikTok is just such a touchy subject, I think, because it can be, I think at first, a lot of negative, people just had some very negative thoughts about it, I believe. And of course, you had to censor some of it, and you can find some interesting things on there. But I think it is something that probably I'm going to have to look into more and maybe address that and see where it goes. But it is, I agree with you 100%. TikTok's going to be something that I have to look at. I know Snapchat is something that is more new as well. And, you know, that's a little bit harder because you can only share with a certain amount of people, where I feel like Facebook gets more hits, or Instagram, because you can make it public versus just sharing to your friends, where Snapchat's very limited. TikTok's a little different. I don't know how that's gonna, and I know that the Bangor Savings uses Pinterest as well, which I found interesting. I saw Scott's got his hand raised.
Yeah, I think I've been noticing more people starting to talk about social media platforms having more videos. People are saying that there's more videos, even if you keep them short, that they are starting to gain more traction. They're a little more popular. So I can see where the TikTok thing comes in, but then I wonder how many people or how many businesses actually keep YouTube accounts and still use YouTube for their business, or is it just more popular to use like IGTV and using Instagram and sharing that to your Facebook or other platforms as well?
I agree. I think there's a lot happening. And I feel like that happened with Google Plus too. That for a hot second was pretty popular and people were using that for their businesses as well. But I've never seen it take off as much as TikTok has, for instance. And the funny thing is, as social media grows and our presence with computers and technology grows, it's funny because our limit for watching these things is shrinking. So if you do make videos, they probably do have to be like 5 or 10 seconds long, because otherwise nobody's going to watch, because they're going to keep scrolling like they do, which is the reason they usually tell you on Facebook you should put a picture. Even if it's you just want to write something, you got to have a picture with it, because otherwise people are going to scroll by. They don't want to just read what you wrote. They want a picture to go along with that. So I do think you have a point, and I'm not sure how many people are using YouTube anymore. I think for business wise, I do think people use YouTube, and there's YouTube television now, which has grown in popularity, similar to like Hulu TV. But I do think there's going to be a place for TikTok. I just don't know what's going to happen with it because of the short videos that, I mean, they're only about 20 seconds long, I think. So you never know where it's going to take you though. Hey, Molly.
So so something that I kind of struggle with is, yeah, I love self-promotion. I love putting my personal Facebook is my work Facebook. Same thing with Instagram. It's basically all whatever happens. And then I have this sort of like, I get sort of a complex when people connect with me, like message me through Facebook. And I'm like, ugh, I would love to help you get that service done, but can you email me?
Yes.
How do you kind of juggle that yourself? So I'm sure you
definitely have
too.
seen that more and more, especially during the pandemic, that I've been getting Facebook messages about people's accounts and banking. So usually I will answer them briefly, but say, let me call you, or let me email you. What's your email address? What's your work, so that I can, and I always try to just let them know that Facebook Messenger is not secure. It's not the best way to handle things. And I think that some bankers have chosen to have multiple accounts. So you might have your personal Facebook page, but maybe your work Facebook page too. My social media is is strictly my family and work. Those are the only two things I put on there. I definitely do not post political or religious or anything like that. I keep that to myself, just because I do not want to get into any debates or people get so, I've never seen people so angry or upset or just very judgmental, I guess, since this last year in politics. So I've always used that as my rule. I think Molly's heard me say that rule before, but it's never politics and never religion, anything like that. It's just for me, and you can choose how you want to do that. But for me, it's always been family and work, and that's it. So I don't mind sharing about my family. And if it helps people that have a special needs child, I'm pretty open about that too, because I know how alone that can feel. So those are what I stick to try to make it easier for people to reach out and not have it be a stigma and people feeling alone and like, I don't want to tell anyone. I don't want to say, hey, my kid's got autism either. You know, there's that fine line, but I'm not shy about opening up about that as well.
I think that the two kind of profiles would be good for our teachers as well.
Mhm.
We have a lot of teachers in this program as well, because they don't want their kids to find them, probably.
I'm
The
sure.
TikTok users.
I'm sure doctors don't really want to have many be on social media at all. Can you imagine people on Facebook Messenger like, hey, so my throat really hurts. Do you think I should come in and see you? I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like. I do think it's a good idea to have a personal and a professional if you are getting a lot of that. I do my best to just say this is not a, safe place. I know there's Facebook Pay now, you can use it to pay people, but you don't want to put account numbers or things like social security numbers, anything like that. I wouldn't want to put that. I don't even like doing that in text message. So I'm always, let me call you, or how about a confidential email? Like, that's what I try to just kind of push back a little. Let me call you. What's the best time to reach you? But I definitely do answer. I don't want to, if I'm putting myself out there with work on Facebook and Instagram, it's hard not to expect people to, even my friends do it. They're like, I know you said people reach out to you and now I'm doing it. I'm like, well, it's my job. So if you need help, I will help you. Just what do you need? I'll give you a call.
Thank you.
Right before this call, somebody actually just Facebook messaged me and said, can I get a debit card? Yes, let me call you. Are there any more? I know I'm a really fast talker. I'm sorry. I promised I tried to go slow, but I didn't. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on how many different types of social media we should be on. I mean, I have Facebook and then LinkedIn, and I'm vaguely active on both of those. This has been great. I've got some areas that I can certainly improve on, and each just suck it up and say, oh, I don't want to see my picture, but that's too bad. Sometimes you got to do it. But like, do I need Instagram on top of everything else? I mean, what do you think?
I think it also depends on the demographic that you're trying to hit. So
Old.
if you want older demographic, I'm going to guess Facebook's going to be your safest space. That seems to be, I mean, grandmothers, great grandmothers, all of that, they're on Facebook. That's easy platform for them. My husband does no social media at all. He calls it face space, or I can't even remember what he calls it, but yeah, he doesn't know anything about it. But I think if you're looking for an older demographic, you probably don't need Instagram. I'm sure they probably never have heard, they don't use TikTok, Snapchat. And Instagram even is more of the 20s. So it's really, I feel like Facebook is, and I'm in my 40s, so we're in that older group that they like Facebook the most, I think.
Right, nobody still has a MySpace account?
Right, that's probably what my husband's talking about. I think he called it My Face or something like that.
I
But
think
I
we
do
wish
think
we had our MySpace account.
What?
So I think we wish we had our MySpace account.
The good old days, yeah.
Yeah, the good old days before all of this.
the technology has expanded. And I do think, we're in Maine, so we're not going to see as many things. There's Reddit and Tumblr and all of these other social media things that are out there, but I just don't think they're used as much in Maine for obvious reasons. We're not as populated. There's not really, yes, Portland's a city, Bangor's a city, but we don't see those big populated areas with where more people would be using that type of information either. I mean, Snapchat has the locations. How far away are your friends on that? On Snapchat, there's no one like even close to you. They're all spread out. So I do think business-wise, it seems Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook are probably the 3 most used. Twitter is such a different thing because it's only writing. You can tag your photos in it, but you still have to, people have to click on the photo to actually open it and see it. I do use it when I'm using Instagram because it's just so easy to tag Twitter and Facebook all at the same time. That why not? You're expanding your network anyway. And maybe somebody's on Twitter that isn't on, and there are people that are only on Twitter and not on Facebook and Instagram.
Corey, I have a question about hashtags.
Yes.
Because I don't use them. And I was wondering earlier, you said, don't go crazy with them, just kind of pick a handful. So how do you, I've seen those posts where people have like 30 hashtags. So they're like just coming up with crazy stuff. Like, how do you pick, the handful that will be most relevant?
I think you got to pick the ones that mean the most to you as well. People can go crazy. A lot of those people are sometimes Instagram influencers. So the more hashtags they are, it's covering what they're also probably getting paid for, or at least sponsored to cover. Whereas if you want to use it for your job or your networking or your community service, you want to stick to that one probably over and over and over again. So if you picked Maine Women's Network, you're going to want to tag them, hashtag with them over and over again. Or maybe it's something like LL Bean has a great one, Be an Outsider. That's LL Bean's. And then, so if you're hiking, you're biking, you're skiing, you can hashtag Be an Outsider and you're tagging LL Bean in those, and they're seeing your posts. Or if you want to get the attention maybe of somebody, so maybe it's Sunday River, you're skiing, so you hashtag Ski Maine or hashtag Sunday River, and then Sunday River might start following you, and that grows your networking group that way. So that is something that you can do, but it does have to kind of be more specific and geared to where you want that to go. So maybe Rebecca is geared towards, maybe it's Trust Me or wealth management, or, because you are handling people's, trust funds and things like that. You want to get something catchy and then use that same hashtag over and over so that it becomes a part of you. So if somebody clicks on it, for the most part, they're going to find you or your post within that hashtag.
I know from personal experience, I can say that working with the Belfast Area Chamber, you really do need to be specific about your hashtags. You really need to actually research the ones that do have large followings and usage, because I can hashtag Belfast business, but when I look at Belfast business, it's actually a lot of Ireland. And so we started the hashtag Belfast Maine business, just to continue to build that hashtag around different chamber members and different things that they do and things that we share. So if you type in Belfast, Maine, you'll still be able to get yourself into a larger hashtag that lots of different people are using in your area, not just for what you're using for your business. So that's another great one to do too.
Belfast does a great job with that, actually. Isn't there another one like Belfast loves something or loves to shop, or I was just looking at that earlier, and they do a great job because they have such a great downtown. And
still kind of the struggle with Belfast, Ireland, and I still see posts for both, because we'll do hashtag Belfast Eats, or we'll do Belfast Waterfront, and we'll still have ones that we want to be specific to Belfast or the downtown area, but that are still being used because Belfast is well known in other places in the world.
Sure
so yeah, you just kind of got to do your research and see where some of those are coming from, and if you need to make ones more specific and have other businesses in your area jump on the bandwagon and try to populate that hashtag and make it popular, that's great.
I think that's a good idea. It is a good idea to do a little research. You're right, because sometimes I'm in Rockland, there's but Belfast is such a well-known name in Ireland, obviously, that yes, you're gonna definitely bring up other things. LL Bean has the great one, the Be an Outsider. I think there's another one that's maybe from Lincolnville. It's Happier Outside. That was started by a local that I found interesting as well. So Happier Outside, Be an Outsider. Think of there's a couple of other ones. You know, of course, Nike's very famous slogan, just do it. Those, you know, that can help if you are, you know, working on a project and you're maybe take a picture of your project and, you know, you're just do it. You're going to get a bigger group of people looking at your posts. Anyone else have some questions?
Yeah, good discussion. Good discussion and good
Yeah,
questions.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to have Corey's information. And I'm sure that she doesn't mind that we're going to share and have her answer any other lingering questions that might come after this, after all of this marinates a little bit. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for being on the call. Double thank you to Corey for presenting. I knew that this was going to be a great topic for you to present, and you just smashed it. So thank you very much for getting the conversation going. And I think that we can all use this and take it back to our groups. This is recorded, so we'll be able to share this information with more people, have little watch parties of our own. And so thank you so much for this.
Oh, you're very welcome. I had a great time, and thank you for the questions. And I'm sorry if I spoke too fast and went too fast. I knew that was going to be my thing. But feel free to reach out to me on any social media. I'd love to help you expand your network. I could be another person that helps in doing that. And I'm so excited that I got to see a couple of familiar faces too. And was excited to be here. So I can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, right back at you. We'll have all of it. Yeah, and so Corey invited you to follow her on her various social medias, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. She says she's not on the TikTok yet, but maybe she'll get there. But please also follow Realize Maine as well. If you haven't already, give us a like. We're on Instagram now. We're not on Instagram yet. We're going
Not
to.
yet, but
We're working on it. We're working on it. Mary's on it. Look at her. She's fabulous. But yeah, follow each other. And you know what? I'll challenge you all to find each other on LinkedIn. And if you've worked with each other through Realize Maine, give each other some kudos or give us a recommendation of what you experienced working with this person. It would be really good for each of us to start doing that ourselves. So I'll get that information out to everybody tomorrow with a follow-up email, but I appreciate you all so much. And I want to kind of throw it to Julie real quick. Additionally, some things that we can add to your achievements and accolades for self-promotion are some leadership education opportunities that you can get right from Realize Maine Network. So we have a lot of those. Julie, do you want to speak on a couple of them?
I can include that information in the follow-up email. How's that sound?
Deal.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Well, look at that. Give you your evening, and thank you all so much.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks,
Great.
Corey.
Thanks.